an agent's role is looking out for number one, nobody's playing it better than Wasserman Media Group. Casey Wasserman tells us how his company landed 4 number-1 draft picks in 1 calendar year.
Working on behalf of a client is more than just negotiating a team contract. There's so much more to life now.
Andrew Luck is playing up to his potential. We'll find out how Wasserman plans to market its first NFL client.
He's very low-key. He's unbelievably focused on his football and his play on the field.
And this guy beat out the giants of the golf world to earn a coveted design assignment. What sealed the Olympic deal for Gil Hance?
Hey, listen, if you can convince a 15-year-old girl to leave her friends, move to Rio, that's about as much commitment as I think anybody can have.
Spanning the globe for sports business stories, Sportfolio starts right now. Hello, I'm Rick Haro, and welcome to Sportfolio, Bloomberg's weekly inside look at the business of sports. In the last 3 years, baseball, football, and basketball have all put new labor agreements into place. Each one has included rules that stabilize and even standardize player salaries. And that's left agents with less leverage to squeeze dollars out of teams at contract time. And it's also given an edge to those who can see the larger picture.
Being a super agent ain't what it used to be.
What you gonna do, Jerry? Show me the money!
Sure, there are still landmark mega deals, but in a world of salary caps, luxury taxes, and rookie wage scales, representation has to be about more than holding out and getting paid. Andrew Luck is making a lot less upfront than Sam Bradford, the last top NFL pick to cash in under the previous labor contract. And as his father Oliver told me, that has dramatically changed the process of choosing an agent.
This new CBA seriously doesn't really leave much room for negotiation. If you remember, once they finished the CBA this past summer, everybody just signed within about 36 hours, it seemed like. So there's less upfront work to be done, which I think is good.
And from a sports business dynamic, you all will be creating new ground because there will be no opportunity for BS from an agent.
I think ultimately Andrew will make a good decision. It's his call. We'll present him with options, and ultimately he'll make the decision. He's a smart kid. He's made good decisions up to this point, and I'm sure he'll continue to do so.
Andrew Luck eventually signed with the Wasserman Media Group, and in one sense, it was a bold decision going with the company that had never represented an NFL player before, but it was also a really reasonable choice, given that Wasserman Media represents 4 of this year's #1 overall draft picks. And we'd like to know what the new elite athlete is looking for in an agent, so we invited Casey Wasserman, founder and CEO of Wasserman Media Group, to join us from Bloomberg's LA bureau. Hey, Casey, before we get into depth on Andrew Luck and the NFL, I don't think any agency has ever signed 4 #1 overall picks in a single year. What's the common thread that brings these guys to you?
Well, certainly it was a unique year, and I'd like to say it was all of our talent and effort, but there's clearly some luck involved in it. But I think the through line is the quality and character of the athletes we're representing. We hold ourselves to a high standard. We try and accompany ourselves with clients who we are proud to represent, and I can honestly say that of all the clients we represent, we don't have anybody that we shy away from, and so we're very proud to represent all of our clients, and certainly this year having 4 #1 picks was an extraordinary feat on behalf of our agents across the company, and they're all unbelievably talented, high caliber athletes who I think will both have great success on and off the field.
Well, your use of the word luck now has a double meaning, obviously, for you. But how different is it to recruit clients now that rookie contracts in most of the team sports are so tightly slotted? What's your sales pitch?
Look, I think protecting, defending, working on behalf of a client is more than just negotiating a team contract. There's so much more to life now. Clearly, off the field, there's marketing issues, philanthropy, dealing with and interacting with social media, helping them manage their professional career in terms of training and being prepared for their seasons. And ultimately, while a lot of contracts are slotted, not every contract is sort of guaranteed a place in life. And so having an agent and a group of agents who work on your behalf to protect your interest and prepare you for the future, whatever that may hold, is where we think we add the most value. And sometimes that's a contract that's relatively straightforward, and sometimes it's a lot more complicated than that.
Well, let's talk value strategy in baseball. You had Carlos Correa, the #1 pick in the baseball draft, and the slotted comp for him was $7.2 million, and you immediately got him signed for $4.8. Are you the anti-Scott Boras, and why leave that money on the table?
It's a little more complicated than that. If the assumption was he was going one no matter what, for certain. But in this day and age of slotted contracts, I think you'll see a lot more of that in baseball. And arguably the presumed number of one in that draft fell a bunch of slots and lost a lot more money than arguably Carlos might have given up by agreeing to the deal he did. Going #1 was very important for him, was very important for his family, and ultimately very important to the country of Puerto Rico. And so for him, it was a clear decision to accept the offer of the Astros. We gave him all the perspective that he needed to make that decision. But he was clearly capable and interested in becoming the #1 pick, and his talents, no question, back up that decision.
And before we talk NFL, let's talk the other football. People may not realize that you have a booming European soccer practice, and you had it for a number of years. No restraints on salaries over there, but they're starting to talk a little bit about salary caps. Salary stability good for that business, or is it still kind of the Wild West?
Well, salary stability and, more importantly, team stability is good for the business in general. We're by far the largest soccer agent in Europe, but it's hard to regulate because you're talking about 10 different countries in Europe with significant salaries, and then countries all over the world with their own professional leagues. And so no one group has the authority to regulate all those independent leagues, which is why the transfer system even exists in the first place. And so, what's more important is the success of the league, the growth of the league, its ability to attract owners, and certainly stability is what attracts owners, and owners, therefore, are the ones who are going to invest in their clubs, both on the pitch and off. And we think that our position is strong, and we're going to continue to push our advantage across Europe based on the growth of the sport in general, because it is clear that that is the biggest sport in the world in aggregate.
Diverse practice. 2011, you bought SFX Golf, and you just held an all-star tournament in Oslo, the Suzanne Pro Challenge, hosted by Suzanne Pedersen. How does golf fit into your overall portfolio?
Well, we had a strong golf consulting practice. We manage a bunch of the tournaments on the PGA Tour for sponsors. We work with a lot of sponsors who don't just have tournaments, but spend a lot of money in golf, like American Express and Nationwide. And so we had a depth of practice in the golf industry. We had a small golf representation business, and the ability to acquire SFX golf business and to bring that team of people led by John Moscatello into our fold and give them the resources to continue to grow has been extraordinary. We've built our practice in Europe as well. So we look at golf as a global sport, which we intend to have a strong and global leadership position in for a long time to come with that acquisition and our existing business previously.
Still to come on the program, I'll talk with San Francisco 49ers CEO Jed York about his plans to build the smartest stadium in America. But coming up, I'll talk to Casey Wasserman about his client who may well be the smartest quarterback in the NFL, Andrew Luck. And why does he have a cameo in a soccer commercial? Find out straight ahead on Sportfolio. Welcome back to Sportfolio. Casey Wasserman, CEO of Wasserman Media Group. He's our guest. Hey, Casey, Andrew Luck, first NFL player your company's represented. Why do you stay away from football? Why do you choose to jump in with Andrew?
Well, staying away from football probably has a couple layers for us. One, our gating factor to getting into any business is the quality and caliber of people we're going to be in business with, and we just struggled to find the right opportunity that fit for us over the whole time we've been in the business. So we're happy to stay out of things that don't fit with how we like to do them. Why Andrew? That's a pretty easy question. He's a remarkable young man, clearly an unbelievably talented quarterback, an athlete, and even a better person. So representing someone like Andrew is an easy decision.
Andrew talked more about his architectural degree than football when we interviewed him last time, but this week he leads the Colts into New York to face the dreaded Jets, Jets, coming off an incredible comeback win over the Packers. Are you anticipating a Tebow-like circus?
Well, Andrew's not a circus kind of athlete. He's very low-key. He's unbelievably focused on his football and his play on the field. You see that in the way he lives his life. He's very focused on helping make the Colts a winner and returning them to their rightful place as one of the top teams in the league. And so there may be a circus because of the talent and the success he's had early in his career. But having said that, it's not a circus for any of the wrong reasons, and we're very proud of that, and he's very focused on that.
Now, we spoke to Andrew and Oliver Luck several times last winter, and they made it pretty clear they wanted his focus to be on football. And meanwhile, RG3 been piling up endorsements. Any regrets about having to go slow in marketing the #1 pick?
No, quite the opposite. From the first time we started to talk about the strategy off the field for Andrew, he was very focused on earning what he might get in the public space. And so, aside from a few deals which are core to his beliefs and to his activity on the field, he's been very focused, very steadfast in that. There's been no shortage of people who have approached us and him with opportunities, but he's been very clear that his focus is on the football field, and he wants to earn what he gets off the field. And on the path he's on, I have a strong belief that he'll earn lots of opportunities to be partnered with any company he wants to going forward.
Any company wants to going forward. Let's talk about EA for a minute. Now, RG3 got the cover of EA Sports College Football 13. You got a deal with EA for Andrew that's a spot for FIFA Soccer, co-starring with Snoop Dogg. Give me the reasoning on that one.
Well, you know, not everybody knows Andrew spent the early part of his life growing up in Germany because Oliver worked in NFL Europe in Germany. And so aside from being fluent in German, Andrew is a huge soccer or football fan, as it may be. Watches the games, focuses on following as much as he can now, given the constraints of his time, plays soccer in his free time, or at least did growing up. And so it's a sport he loves, it's a sport he's passionate about, and it was a fun way for him to sort of show the world his belief in the global football game.
And can name every major soccer stadium in Germany and Europe, capacity architects, on and on and on, as you know. We look
no question.
Yeah, clearly. Now, speaking of NFL players, are you going to look to sign more NFL players right away as a consequence of this find?
No, look, we're not in the business of building a large football practice. If we get calls or approaches by people, we'll certainly listen and be judicious in our willingness to accept them. But you know, we didn't start this to build a huge football practice. We were excited to be in business with Andrew Luck, and that's plenty for us now. If other things come along, we'll deal with them as they happen. But in the short term, representing Andrew was our focus. If we wanted to build a football practice, we probably would have done other things. But representing Andrew is an extraordinary opportunity for us and our company, and we're very proud to do that.
Now, you've been part of the AEG's Farmers Field proposal since the beginning. And we had Tim Lewicki, as you know, on last week, and he says expects the NFL to be back in L.A. in 5 years. What role do you want to play in making that happen? You were the youngest owner in the history of arena football. Is ownership in the cards?
So from his inception, you know, it was an idea that I sort of developed and took to Tim and Mr. Anschutz, and they were as excited about it as I was once they realized it was a realistic opportunity and fit so well with all that they've accomplished downtown. And from the outset, my focus has been being on their partner or in ownership of a club. I think clearly, whatever teams come to Los Angeles, the opportunity for ownership is going to be on a minority basis, not on a majority basis. And being part of a group to bring football back to Los Angeles from an ownership perspective and a facility perspective is something I look forward to the opportunity for. It's a long time coming for this city, and I know it's going to be a great success when it comes back.
Casey Wasserman, my friend, good luck in all your endeavors, and thanks for joining us on Sportfolio.
Thanks for having me, Rick.
Casey Wasserman is carving out a unique space as an agent. And coming up, a golf course designer who's also doing it his way. He just landed one of the sweetest gigs in the world.
The key thing was that we wanted to make sure we didn't change what we do and who we are.
And here's this week's Sportfolio Stumper. What's the maximum percentage of annual salary that an NFL agent is allowed to charge a player? We'll give you the answer free of charge in just a moment. Time for the answer to the Stumper. What's the maximum percentage of annual salary an NFL agent is allowed to charge a player? 3%, according to the NFL Players Association rulebook. The business of the Olympics has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Huge brands like McDonald's, Visa, Citibank, and Coca-Cola dominated the scene at London 2012.
So it was a bit surprising that golf returns to the games in 2016. The Rio Organizing Committee chose a boutique firm from suburban Philadelphia to design and build its Olympic course.
First time playing this course, and against the guy who will revolutionize golf as we know it in South America, maybe the world. And I've got a better shot. Oh!
Gil Hance, the designer, has a big-time reputation.
That's a very short 6
But to
feet.
Gil Hance, the CEO, small is beautiful.
Nice job, my friend.
Well, we've always been intentionally small.
Low overhead and high agility helped his company weather a recession, but it didn't stop Hance from dreaming big and submitting a proposal for Rio 2016.
When we decided to put our hat in the ring, the key thing was that we wanted to make sure we didn't change what we do and who we are. And we thought if we can go into this and put together a plan that's reflective of that, that's all we can ask for. If they give us serious consideration, then great.
Hance didn't just get serious consideration, he got a contract that everybody who's anybody in the world of golf was going for.
Jack Nicklaus, Danica Sorenstam, Greg Norman, Gary Player, obviously bigger names. How'd you beat him?
I think it was our commitment. I mean, I used the phrase, I said I hate it, which I do, but we're all in. The commitment of moving myself, my wife Tracy, our youngest daughter Kaylee down to Rio for the 9 months to a year that's going to take to build this golf course. And then I said to the committee, listen, if you can convince a 15-year-old girl to leave her friends, move to Rio, that's about as much commitment as I think anybody can have.
For the tie.
It's a very short 6 feet.
Short 6 feet, short 4.5 feet. Did Greg Norman call or text you to congratulate you?
He called. He's, of all the finalists, he's the one who actually picked up the phone and called. I received some email messages and some text messages from all the other finalists. But when I saw on the caller ID Great White Shark, I thought, and it was him, and he was great. It was a very nice conversation we had.
To get an idea of what Hance may do in Rio, I spent some time with him on a course he designed at Applebrook Golf Club outside Philadelphia.
The turf grasses here are northern climate grasses, so we have bent grass fairways, bluegrass, and fescue roughs, which won't survive the heat down in Rio. So what we're looking at down there is creating a course that relies on southern turf grasses. So your three choices are a variety of Bermuda, zoysia, or the paspalum, which are the grass that are very salt tolerant.
Here we go. Ready? Game on.
Ooh, you're gonna be tough to beat. I was thinking full blast wedge, but I don't know.
Uh-oh. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
The greatest thing about the site in Rio is that it's all sand. And the aesthetic of sort of a beach setting is something that we really like, and to have this more exposed sand site. So the combination of the existing site characteristics, our aesthetic, when you combine that with the palette of plant material that we'll find down in Rio, I think will create a golf course that will have a sense of place to it, but will also relate to what we think are the greatest golf courses in the world.
Are you known for something, greens-wise? You're known for the bump and runs a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
I think that, and people like our bunker style, which tends to be a little more diverse than this. This is a little bit vanilla for us, but not too bad. Too hard.
Look at that. Look at that. Down the slope.
I think it's the pressure.
What about the pressure of creating a legacy course for South America and introducing golf to the Olympic stage? Does that faze Hance and his modest little company?
The easy answer is no. I mean, we try to keep things light. We try not to let ourselves get too far ahead of us. We've been doing this for 20 years, so we're quietly confident going into it. We're trying not to put a lot of pressure on ourselves. As I said earlier, we're just trying to do what we've always done, and if we do that, I think that'll be good enough.
Oh, nice job, my friend. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Gil Hance and his family should be heading down to Rio in a few weeks to start construction on the course, which will be situated just a few kilometers from the athlete village. Hance is hoping to have it finished in time to hold some tournaments in 2015. And after the 2016 games, it'll remain open as a public course. Still plenty left on Sportfolio. A state-of-the-art football facility is going up in Northern California, and surprise, it's software-driven. 49ers CEO Jed York gives us a glimpse of the future next. Get Sportfolio wherever you go on the Bloomberg TV Plus app for iPad. Next week on Sportfolio, an encore presentation of our special report on the business of Penn State football, moving the goalposts. Tune in Wednesday at our new time, 9:30 p.m. So far in this NFL season, the San Francisco 49ers are looking likely to repeat as NFC West champions. And the timing couldn't be better as the team is selling suites and sponsorships for a new stadium scheduled to open in 2014. I sat down with CEO Jed York at the recent Bloomberg Sports Business Summit to discuss the 49ers' successes off the field.
I think we're starting to make some progress both on and off the field. And I think the most important thing to do is know that you can't do it all in one step. You know, building a stadium in the Bay Area takes a long time, and rebuilding a brand on the field takes a long time. You have to have the right people to do it, and I think we do.
Well, certainly on the stadium side, that was my business for 30 years, and I understand how monumental it is in every other state but California, and monumental on steroids in California.
Right.
Now, you say it's 2014's target date, say it's going to be the smartest stadium in sports. What do you mean?
So we want to make sure that we're a software-driven stadium, not a hardware-driven stadium. You look at some of the stadiums that have put, tens of millions of dollars into their scoreboards and things like that. Those things are going to be obsolete. You use a tablet, you use a smartphone. We want to make sure that that's a seamless transition when you actually come into a stadium, so we can enhance your experience. So instead of having, all of our money in our scoreboards, you want to have 68,000 screens throughout the entire building that you can be as interactive as possible.
And you're in the right place for this, given your Silicon Valley friends and your relationships. What is your process for attracting partners and investors, understanding where you are and what you're going to be doing?
Well, first and foremost, I think being in the Silicon Valley, you want to be representative of your market. Our market is a very forward-thinking market, and our fans are most of the people that run or founded a lot of those great companies that you're talking about. So it's easy to reach out to somebody that's already naturally a 49ers fan and say, how would you make the game day experience better? And we're starting to build out our technology team, bringing in a CTO. These are people that want to create something that's never been done before, and we're giving them that opportunity to do something that is just going to have fun effects for them.
Moving farther away from downtown San Francisco, but closer to a high-tech sponsor base, is that another advantage of the whole stadium process?
I think it's an advantage, but that's not the reason why we're building in Santa Clara. We're building because of infrastructure, and we're not quite high-tech enough where you don't need a car to get to a football game. We want to make sure that wherever you live in the Bay Area, it's easy to get to. But I think the second beneficiary of that is really being closer to those Fortune 500 companies, the tech companies that are going to be the next generation leaders of American business.
So how do you get a return on investment?
So, when you're looking at a return on the investment, my family bought this team in 1977. Whatever Forbes says the team is worth today, it's probably more than what my family paid for in 1977.
Yeah.
It's really about making sure that the team has a long-term home, a permanent home in the Bay Area, and we're working very well with the city of Santa Clara that we do have the right public-private partnership. We're both incentivized to make sure that this is a great home for the team for the next 40 years.
Last month, the 49ers announced they'd sold more than $670 million in seats and luxury boxes for the new stadium. And 70% of current season ticket holders bought licenses that qualify them to renew their seats. According to a team spokesman, the building's about 15% completed, and concrete for the seating bowl should be installed by the end of October. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Sportfolio. Our thanks to Casey Wasserman, Gil and Tracy Hans, and Jed York for being part of the show. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to visit Bloomberg.com for more Sportfolio interviews, stories, and sports news coverage. I'm Rick Horrow. See you next time.